right, we're back. We're back, baby.
What's up, everybody?
This is segment number 2 for episode 13. I can't believe we're already at 13 on October 12th.
Yeah.
Just a reminder in case you
would have been perfect if
it
there was episode 12 on October 12th, but you know,
No,
that's just
that
not the
would've-
way. That's just not the way it
That's
works.
just not the way the American.
Or it's a
fan
shame it's not the
podcast
13th, like my birthday. You know.
Let's be honest. That's not the way the American fan podcast rolls. The Fletcher Nick show. It's often a little offbeat, but you're entertained and you get some good information.
And that's what we're here for. We're here
That's
to.
what we're here.
If we like talking, why don't we record it and give you guys somewhat useful information to the 10 people that might watch this? Even though you guys subscribe, we all appreciate the subscribers.
Entertain, inform. That's what we want, and have fun. That most of all, have.
And
some
that is
fun in
this is
process.
probably some of the most fun I've had in my life, and I'm all for having fun, even as a parent, you know. So it's like,
well, this segment's going to be awesome because we're going to talk a little bit.
I'm going to let loose from the news, like
almost like a
AC/DC
potpourri, but I want you to. I want you to take the guns out of the holster and just fire away. We're just going to keep going, topic by topic. You know, a little potpourri. We'll probably do 30 minutes or plus on the topics. We want to begin. Now, we're all familiar, the audience, that's who I'm referring to, and just the general country, state of culture. We're all familiar with how crazy during the Biden administration, during those 4 years.
before the Biden administration,
Well,
too.
before. It was like a snowball going downhill.
But it amplified with
I
the
think
Biden
that's a great word.
administration.
Biden, it definitely amplified and extrapolated the nosedive in terms of culture itself. Like, you couldn't even, like, ask somebody, like, well, what's a woman? You know, it's like...
Or like,
basic
wait,
question.
don't you think you might be wrong about Trump? Oh, you defended Trump, so fuck you. And all.
Yeah,
it's like, okay, you know, whatever.
What is a woman? Like,
You know, how dare you? That's a transphobic question. It's like,
I'm like, no, I just want to know, like...
yeah, what's your definition? Oh, someone who identifies as a woman. Okay, so what is an ant? Oh, someone that identifies as an ant?
Or somebody that identifies as a furry, an animal. Like, you get into a rabbit hole where you can... They actually had... There was a category. I remember Piers Morgan did a little thing. I actually enjoy his program, although I don't agree with everything he says, but...
Honestly, I will
there's an
watch
actual
this
category called a two-spirit penguin.
Yeah.
But what is that? I don't even know what that is. I never heard of that before.
That's because... No, do you know where that actually roots from? It's actually when he did before Piers Morgan Uncensored. What was it? Good Morning Britain or something like that?
Yeah, something like that.
And that's when this kid, like a young guy, I think he's younger than me, or at this point probably my age, I don't know. People look younger, way younger than they do nowadays. So
Two-spirit penguin.
yeah. So basically what happened was he was like a gender queer activist, and, you know, who are we to say they can't identify as whatever. And eventually it got so outrageous, and then Piers Morgan decided to come up with the hypothetical. So the two-spirit penguin thing, I think, came from someone... Okay, so the actual Joe Two-Spirit Penguin, I'm not even going to get into the history of that, but it's something that Piers Morgan did. No, Two-Spirit, the Two-Spirit part...
No, I want to hear the history if we're going to talk about a Two-Spirit Penguin.
Oh, no. So there's two parts of this history.
I want to crucify somebody that's walking down the street that says, hey, I'm a Two-Spirit Penguin, and I'll be like, hey, asshole, do you even know the history?
Okay, so I'll try to...
I learned it on the American Fan
Let me
podcast.
crush it into 1 minute time. So... Yeah. There's two parts of this history, and the first part is nothing to do with Piers Morgan, and then the second part has everything to do with the first and the second part regarding Piers Morgan.
Gotcha.
So the two-spirit thing, and Michael Knowles actually mentioned this on the Surrounded Jubilee segment that he was on.
Oh, I
and
remember
that's
that.
when they talked about, like, oh, you don't believe in two-spirit people or something? He goes, yeah, that came from a woman that said that the two-spirit thing came to her in a dream. So it wasn't even a real thing, it literally came to her in a dream. So then... Fast forward to when Pierce was on Good Morning Britain. Again, that might be the wrong name. That just sounds authentic, but I don't know. So then the genderqueer activist, the young guy, you know, question, you know, like, who you just say they can't identify as what or whatever. Then Pierce makes a joke. So let me ask you something now. He actually asked this kind of genuinely, I want to say. Maybe he was actually being serious. So if I decide to identify as a two-spirit penguin, would you affirm that? And he goes, no. And he goes, well, why not? Like, and he goes, well, because you're mocking. I'm like, no. if you say anyone can identify as the way you want, as they want to, and you're to respect that, why can't you respect me if I say I identify as a two-spirit penguin?
1000%.
And he wouldn't budge on it. He was like stuttering for words. So then that's where that joke pops up.
I remember that a little bit. I think the guy who had like blondish hair.
No. He had like I think he had like my colored hair. It was like a brown
different episode. Yeah, my bad.
Yeah. So now he might have brought that up again. No. The blonde guy you're talking. Oh God,
you know who I'm talking about. Then.
It's James. Oh my God,
that dude. I love the interaction between those two.
Oh, I know.
Piers like
he rips them
him
apart
every time. But the guy keeps coming back on the show.
Well, why do you think that is? It's because Pierce likes his clicks. Why do you think that? I'm sorry. I appreciate Pierce changing his stance on Israel. Not to say he's become anti-Israel. He's just been more critical of Israel. But, of course, if you criticize Israel, it means you're anti-Israel. Therefore, you're anti-Semitic.
Well, not entirely. It means you're anti-Semitic.
Right. And actually, that's
I've been called once, like in the last couple of weeks. I was like, "Oh, you're sounding awfully anti-Semitic," and I'm like, "Why?" Because they criticize the government.
And by the way, this is a perfect
decisions.
This is a perfect segue into why we mentioned. Like, you guys have watched our episodes. All of you that have watched all 12. Well, going on now 12 episodes and segments.
Even if they tuned in for several.
Even if you turned in for a few, you at least at some point must have seen, unless you watch things about Fletcher's day life, you're not going to hear about our criticism of Biden or Donald Trump or something like that. But if you have, seriously speaking, if you have watched all of our segments or even half of it, and you might have tuned into one where you see us criticizing the insanity of the woke left and, embracing racialism and saying that men can be women.
Yeah.
We've been critical of that.
Out of control.
It's like you guys, and this is why I said, even with my criticism, although we're going to get into this, is my criticism, like why someone like myself, I don't like Donald Trump anymore, but I'm still relieved that he won this last election, because I do believe, I'm going to quote Brett Weinstein here, who is a Democrat and still says that is his party. Ideologically, he is a Democrat. And he actually said on one podcast that, I think if Trump does not win this election, that he says this, anyone who wants extreme change in general is an insane person. I would agree with that. You shouldn't want extreme change. But he said, I think if Trump does not get elected, there's no coming back from this point. I actually agree with that statement. I do think if Kamala Harris won the election, the world would be on fire. And there's evidence of this, just look at her as VP. So I am grateful that I threw my support behind Donald Trump in this last election. Now, with that said, what I've noticed in the last 10 years, just as the left went insane because of one man in political power, with the people saying everyone who supports Trump is Hilarion, and if you support conservative principles, you're a racist and a homophobe, and all these, if you say that men shouldn't be in women's sports, you're transphobic or something. Just like we criticize that insanity, I'm sorry, and this segment is made because I said we had to talk about this, Fletcher, and tell everyone this.
Yeah.
The right under Trump's current administration is going more insane. They are just going insane when it comes to Israel.
It's on the same level.
It's
right?
on the same. Now they're not the same.
They're
conservatives.
not the same craziness or the same.
But on the level of craziness, they're getting to that point. It's like the left was here with craziness, and then slowly, as the months went on, since October 7, 2023, it was like getting to this point. And I feel like at this point, as of October 12th, 2025. I really think they're at the same point, because just like the left goes crazy with racism and transgenderism, the right is going crazy when it comes to criticizing Donald Trump over the Epstein Files scandal, and now everyone's criticism of Israel. Now, again, full disclosure, I do think there are legitimate anti-Semites out there that just hate Jewish people, just like I acknowledge there are racist people out there that just hate anyone that doesn't have white Aryan blood flowing through their veins. I mean, it's just the way it is. There's evil everywhere in a small part of the world. But
Good statement.
But the crazy shit that the right is saying if you're not with Israel, you're against and you're pro Hamas or something. Guys, the same conservatives that are spreading that talking point, they're the same people who are criticizing another part of the right that criticize people like you and me, Fletcher, for saying that we didn't support going into Iraq, and saying you were un-American if you didn't support the unjust wars that lasted for 20 years. It's like, do you guys not realize it's honestly a great statement from one of the best movies ever made in history, and I take that with a grain of salt because I don't like to overrate movies. I don't like to join the crowd when it comes to overrated films. It's from The Dark Knight, the one with Heath Ledger, and saying it's just like what Harvey Dent said. You either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain. And I think that is what's happening with the American right now. If you were to ask me, guys, my actual view is like, we've discussed there's traditionally liberal, then modern liberal, then traditionally conservative, and traditionally and modern conservative. I'm telling you this right now. If you were to ask me on a modern scale where I would lean towards on the political spectrum, not overall, not historically from George Washington times. If you were to ask me on a modern scale, what political side do you align with more? I will tell you guys, I lean more to the conservative right. I believe in free speech. Again, traditionally liberal, but now conservatives are whole in the free speech. Well, except for when it comes to Israel. The fact of the matter is they are going crazy. Oh, I'm sorry. I almost lost my point. I'm sorry, guys. I do lean towards modern conservative values. I believe in free speech, the right to bear arms, a secure border. Again, most of them being traditionally liberal values. And, I believe that women's spaces should be protected, and I believe in legal immigration as long as it's legal, although I think the system needs to be reformed. But the conservative movement is starting to lose me and you, Fletcher. You've made this clear, and I'll let you, I'm not going to speak for you. Yeah. If you're going to call me anti-Semitic, or people like me at least, anti-Semitic, because we criticize the government's genocide in Gaza right now, because we say, hey, maybe, just maybe, Israel should be labeled a foreign, I forget what the like Qatar has to register as like a foreign agency or something. I forget what it is, but legally like an
entity, I guess you could say.
Well, entity is just like they're a foreign entity, but it's like a label you just put on people. But there's like a registration. You have to say, if you're gonna give us money from another country, you had to register under this like legal form or something. But Israel is the one country that doesn't have to do that because they are a very close ally with us. But the fact of the matter is I don't hate Jewish people. I have a close friend of mine that's, proud Jew, it has nothing to do with that. Yeah, I have no problems with people that are black, people that are Jewish, people that are atheists. I know close friends that are atheists. I'm of a Christian background. I can still grab a beer, even though I don't drink, but I can still grab a beer with them, okay? I can still grab a beer with my fellow Jewish people. I have a former coworker, he's still there, but I don't see him anymore, who is Muslim. I love them equally. I don't look at them as a part of that organization. I don't look at my Muslim friend as a part of Hamas. I don't look at my Jewish friends as a part of the Israeli government. I don't look at them in any way like that. But don't tell me that I am a monster or I'm anti-Semitic. People like me, Fletcher, Dave Smith, Scott Horn, anyone, because nobody. Because I don't support innocent women and children being slaughtered. I will say this with Ukraine and Russia, with Israel, Palestine, America, and Afghanistan. No innocent people should be killed. But when the right says, okay, everything they say was good, but now they abandon everything because of their loyalty to Israel. And I'm going to leave on this final point. People like Ted Cruz are the biggest problem with the American right. He literally admitted this on the Tucker Carlson interview. I don't know if you watched this, Fletcher.
Fantastic, yeah.
It was fantastic. I love the way that Tucker was against him and all that. And I think they're close friends, too, if I'm not mistaken. At least friends of the sort. And he literally admitted the reason why he entered the Senate his first time was to pledge his loyalty to Israel. Let me repeat that. Imagine if I just said a senator in America entered the Senate or the House committee to show their loyalty to a foreign government. How would that sound to you? And I'll give it to you, Fletch. How would that sound to you or anyone else?
It's not good. It's not practical, the whole situation. We talked about like the whole Gaza Israel thing in the last episode 12, I believe. We did a segment that pertained to the whole situation over in Gaza. If you got 23,000 kids that have deceased, civilian children have died. If you got 66,000 adults, people total, that have died, you got 147,000 people in Gaza that were injured over the last 2 years, critical injuries. And if you have literally, I mean, October 7th, we've talked about it in that episode.
Horrible day. Horrible day.
Nobody condones that. Hamas is a disgusting entity, organization. It's a terrorist group.
They're no different than Al-Qaeda to me personally.
It's the same damn thing. They're disgusting people. Nobody in this couch, nobody that I know,
nobody that's entered this space in this bar
condones that. And I would never condone that. But you literally have now. It's simple. For me, it's simple mathematics along with just the ideology and just the justification. There is none. There is no form of ideology, opinion, whatever word you want to use, that justifies what's happened over the last 2 years. You literally have, and again, I preface, October 7th was disgusting, but over the last 2 years, you have 71 October 7ths that have taken place. And how can you have, like with the people that are Zionist or pro-Israel approach, when you mention that, they're like, that's not accurate. No, that is.
It is.
That's why we're having this little segment in this particular episode, because like you say, years past and going on currently, but it was worse 10 years ago,
and
5 years ago with the woke ideology.
Yeah.
When you would ask what you would call common sense questions like, hey, what's a woman? And then you'd get all this pushback. All we're doing is bringing information to the forefront, which is often, it's an attempt to suppress it with the media that's pro-Zionist, pro-Israel. They're trying to suppress statistics, and it's like, hey, what do you think about the fact that 71 October 7th have happened over the last 24 months? Like, that's not right. I get it. You had to respond to what happened on October 7th.
Rightfully so.
Rightfully so. That doesn't mean you got a free-for-all to go 71 times the damage to the innocent people of that geography. I know you're trying to go after Hamas. Here's a revelation. Here's a news thought as the train goes by in the background. It's what happens when you have a little barn podcast. You get a little background noise. What I call a little jingle in the background.
You missed the dog barking right before we recorded the first segment of this episode.
And it was one of those barks where it sounded like the dog was in pain. For God's sake. It wasn't like a normal bark, like just to let you know I'm here. Hey, Sparky's out. You know, no, it was like, I was like, what the hell's going on outside?
That's a good way to cool the temperature a little bit with how heated I just got about this stupid shit.
It's justified, because I just don't understand when you have a conversation with somebody and they're like, well, you got to understand they're using, you know, the Gazans and Palestinians, Hamas as human shields. Okay, so it justifies 71 times the carnage of what happened on October 7th? No, it just, you know, I've used it in the past in just talking, how we talk as friends. You know, it's like if somebody, you know, punches your mom in the face and then runs in an apartment building, you know, I get it. That person's a scumbag. You know, they blasted your mom in the face. It's horrible.
But you don't go. You wouldn't go breaking down everyone's doors and start shooting up the place.
You wouldn't destroy the apartment building, and there might be some casualties.
There's actually
trying to go after the guy that hit your mom in the face. Would you? That's just for me.
Actually, there's a better.
It's a common sense analogy.
I have a better analogy, and this
for it.
This isn't mine. This is actually what Dave Smith mentioned to Douglas Murray on their debate. I know he mentioned this a lot, but it is a fascinating debate. I rewatch it every week. That's just the way
It's one of the best podcasts of all time.
I don't know if I mentioned this to you guys. I think I did in the last episode, actually. I mean, like episode 12, not 13. I like to, if I really like a podcast and I find it so fascinating and all the information is useful, obviously you don't absorb every single bit of information that you watch, whether it's a 15-minute, even if you guys watch a full segment of this episode, you're not going to memorize everything that we say. You're not going to take in everything that we say because we can go all around the place. But I like to rewatch if I find it fascinating enough and I think it's useful. And then some things didn't click with me until like my third time, fourth time watching it. But there was an argument that Dave Smith made to Douglas regarding that whole thing. And he said, let me tell you something. If, let's say you have a man and he kills like your kid or something. Again, I'm butchering it, but it's basically like someone kills a family member.
I remember this.
And if he goes back to his home and you know his wife and family are in there and your solution is to blow up the place to kill him, what you would be charged with is murder in the first degree.
1000%. That's a great analogy. It's actually more efficient because that's what's actually going on.
And I've been learning more about like the difference because at one point I didn't know. I actually just talked with Morgan last week about this. I'm like, what's the difference between first degree, second degree, third degree? And then first degree is like you plan that out and you have it planned. You were determined to do it and you did it. That is first degree. I forget what is it, second or third, where you fight someone you didn't mean to kill him, but the fight turned to a bloodbath and you kill that person by stabbing or shooting.
First is just
you planned that out. You did the deed and
you executed like a plan of a homicide. That's first degree murder.
And then second degree.
Hey,
what was
this coming Tuesday? I'm gonna go to Nick's work, and I'm gonna shoot him with a 30-06. He's gonna have like bones like Charlie Kirk, so the bullet's gonna get stuck in his neck. Oh wait, did I just transcend topics? Oh, sorry. Yeah. 30-06 bullet, the round which blows up a watermelon from 500 yards, but from 200 yards it just gets stuck in his neck. Oh,
yeah, totally, right?
Sure, yeah. They can't find an exit wound. That's interesting. I don't know. Maybe it was the shot from a different direction. I don't know. I mean,
sounds awfully familiar.
We'll probably still be talking about it like the JFK assassination 50 years later when it's kind of obvious who was on the grassy knoll. That's where the bullet came from. It didn't come from the Texas Book Depository. The bullet did not come from Tyler. He was not the shooter. The gun on 200 yards on a roof. The head motion, nothing matches up. I digress. It's just like, that's a whole other episode. We got to do an episode on that. None of the ballistics experts can sign off. None of them. Not a one. Other than Kash Patel and maybe a couple other people in the Trump administration. Hey, we got the killer. No, you don't. It's physically impossible.
Hey,
that
Fletcher,
what happened.
Why don't we humor Douglas Murray and trust the experts when they say that if it was that bullet, that Charlie's head would have been literally fallen off his head.
Have you ever been to a watermelon factory and seen it blow up from 500? You've never. Certainly, you would have been. That's my favorite part.
Never been.
That's my favorite part when he goes to Dave. He goes, certainly, you would have the courtesy to have investigated
No.
firsthand.
There is one part better than that, and that's when he goes, what's up? When were you last at the blockade? Never. When were you last there at all? I've never been. You've never been.
You've never
been.
I'm
not allowed to talk about it.
That's the best part. When he responds, it's because they got the camera on Dave's face, and he goes, "What am I not allowed to do?"
No, actually, no. You know what my personal favorite? I don't think it's the best part, but my personal favorite is when Dave Smith was quoting the world. It said, according to the World Bank in 1996 for the first year, and then Douglas decided to be a smug bastard and go, now the libertarians are quoting the World Bank. I love it. He goes, that doesn't mean anything. This is a non-argument. They did their own analysis, and he interrupted him again. He goes, why don't you do your own analysis? And then Joe Rogan went, hold on, you need to stop interrupting.
I remember that part.
How calm and sinister, like
And
Joe
he gave what I call, like, when Rogan said it, the way
he was looking
sitting,
down. He was like, hold on, you need to
he's
stop
looking down, but he gave him the side eye because he does this. Like, he's like, you need to relax.
It's like, even he, and look, Joe, you guys all know Joe. He's as modern as it gets. He will talk to anybody, and even he is like,
he's just a good dude.
But he was like, even he was trying to tell Douglas, bro, you need to like chill.
And that Murray, he finally kind of like, because I mean, Joe, he's such a great podcaster. He's probably like the godfather podcasting, right? He's just great at what he does. Just a good, normal human being. Well, he'll probably tell you he smokes a little pot and he's not so normal.
Yeah.
He's just a good dude, but he gives off an aura because people have all seen the videos of him kickboxing and doing his taekwondo, judo. Like, the dude's a badass. So when he said that to Murray, you can see Murray's reaction. I know body language. I'm a sales guy. Murray kind of like
he cut back
because he just said it calmly, but he was like, you need to relax.
He knew what would have happened if he didn't relax
It's like, so if he would have whipped around and said, Joe, shut up, I'm talking to Dave right now, I would have flown to Texas and watched that like 100 million times over because Rogan would have stood up. I mean, there's a video out of Joe Rogan doing his kicks on
I've watched that
on like 100-pound bag. I would not want to mess with Joe Rogan. He's the same height as me. He would break me in half. He gives me hope for all shorter guys. Like, you can be a total badass if you want to. But
before we,
all right, we digress a little bit. Let's get back to the point.
But the point still stands that why
how
don't we fulfill his wishes, and that's to appeal to the experts. Well, guess what, guys? The experts tell us that if that bullet literally hit Charlie Kirk, again, do not label us in any way falsely, because I'm telling you, that is the one thing I fucking hate. Do not call me something that I'm not. You can call me an asshole. You can call me a bigot if you want, because I find it funny when you call me that, because I have nothing but love for my people. But but the gun experts say, I like guns, but I'm not an expert, not an entire expert.
Right.
They all say, if that bullet hit Charlie, you wouldn't have seen his head anymore. It would have been right out clean off his body, and you wouldn't have seen it. But they were trying to tell us, look, because it was a little further away, it just killed him with a little spot here.
That round at 200 yards, it doesn't matter. You could have it at 300 yards. They've shown it what that round minimal. I'm not talking about the more likely or the maximum capacity of damage. I am talking, and so is Nick, about the minimal. That would have just disintegrated his neck. His neck probably would have been like, I don't know if you guys, meaning the audience, if you've ever like taken out something almost like a Jenga, his head would have fallen either side because the neck would have just disintegrated. The round is. Have you seen a 30-06 round?
I haven't seen. So I've seen the picture. I haven't seen an actual physical demonstration like a person's hand.
They had a professional sniper with that particular rifle that couldn't break down the rifle in less than 5 minutes. This is getting off on a tangent, but this is very relevant and interesting. You had a professional sniper that's familiar with the firearm. He couldn't disassemble that rifle in less than 5 minutes. He goes, if I would have done this daily, you can maybe get it down to 3 minutes. But that's a professional. And they're saying this kid that's not super familiar with that gun, it was a family gun, an heirloom from the grandfather, but they're saying this kid disassembled the gun in less than a minute. And then he jumped off the building and he disassembled it and put it in his pants when you clearly see it. Whoever that individual is that jumps off the building, they bend their because it's a tall building. You don't land with your legs straight if you got the gun shoved down your pants. The whole story it's actually laughable. It's like if you and I did that, if we robbed something, and I'd be like, well, I had the gun in my pants. We're going to jail. Like, there's no way. They would laugh at us. But how is the government just allowed to be like, oh, yeah, it was this kid? He did this, and then they put the gun. Then he reassembles the gun and puts a towel around it. Where is the bullet? Has anybody found the bullet? No, they find the bullets in the chamber that conveniently have LGBTQ like hieroglyphics on there, or like the little etchings.
Yeah.
But where's the bullet that went through Charlie? Where is it? I mean, that's what I ask everybody.
Wasn't that scene cleaned up fairly quickly?
Dude, here's another thing. This is one of my favorite things. The next day, they re-cemented the area. They totally re-cemented the whole area. There's no way to ever get any type of DNA, to get any type of evidence from the area. They literally taped it off and they reconcreted the platform that stage was on. I don't even know if you knew that. Like it's just pure insanity. We got to do a whole episode on that.
Yeah, we do.
We will.
But
it's just amazing.
It's just the whole.
Where is I just want to know one thing. Where is, if you shot him from the front, which is what they're claiming, if it's this lone gunman, Tyler, what I call Tyler Lee Harvey Oswald. That's my name for him, Tyler Lee Harvey Oswald, because that's exactly what this is. This is nonsense. It didn't match in the Kennedy thing. This doesn't match. Where is the exit wound on the back of Charlie's neck? You're telling me a 30-06 rifle fire, the bullet itself, went into his neck through, it's not centered, it's slightly off to the right, and just got lodged in his neck.
Stay tuned for a next episode on this whole thing.
It didn't come out the back.
It's just...
I can make a lot of claims, and I have in the past. I did not sleep with Angelina Jolie, but I did put that story out there back in the day. I said, listen, they're like, do you have any pictures? Do you have any DNA? Do you have any part of her clothing, her underwear? Nothing. I just said, hey, it happened. She told me I was a complete animal. She couldn't take it anymore, and I went about my merry way.
Oh God! But in an episode that we're trying to criticize the crazy right now, we're talking about Charlie Kirk's assassination, and now we're talking about
you have the crazy woke left. You have the crazy radical right, as I call them, R squared, because they're just equal. They weren't. I mean, 5 years ago, 10 years, they weren't. But the right has elevated. The whole point of our episode.
Because of one topic.
Here today.
I'm sorry, two topics.
You are witnessing the evolution and the start of the crazy middle. I'm the leader. I'm in the middle. And I'm going to be just...
I'll be doing a solo episode talking about how Fletcher's leading the crazy middle and all that.
We're going to call it the CM group, the crazy middle. I'm just so sick of nonsense. All kidding aside, I joke around a lot because I want to keep things light with the audience, with you, make people laugh. But I mean, this is serious stuff. They're lying to our face, and we're supposed to just be like, it's okay.
It's like I just said. Like,
it's not.
It's
like
not
okay.
Yeah, and it's like I just said a minute ago that the left. I gotta give the left. I guess I'm trying to figure out how to put this into words, but just bear with me here. With the left going crazy, I gotta give the left a little bit of credit for this. Granted, they shouldn't have gone as crazy as they did. They got crazy because they kept adding more stupid shit to this. So the first thing was, and I think they accepted that they've kind of lost this debate a little bit, which is they tried saying guns kill people, not people kill people, and we got to get rid of them all. You lost that argument, okay? But you know what? I'll still listen to you because that's what we as Americans should do. We should listen to each other and engage in. We should listen. But then they were like, Trump is the most evil person on the face of the planet because he is a loudmouth prick or something. Like,
he is.
Yes, he is a loudmouth prick, but dude.
He's not the Antichrist. He's not a Nazi.
I could think.
I dealt with this with my own family. They're like, "Oh, well, he's a Nazi." I was like, "He's not Hitler. He's not the same."
If you go
he's
to
a loudmouth game show.
Go talk to a New Yorker.
But he's not a Nazi.
Go talk to a New Yorker. Like, this is what Pierce Morgan said, and then I'll continue my list of things. Pierce Morgan literally said the night after Trump won, it was announced that he had won the election of 2024.
Right.
And he literally said, "Listen, I talked to friends in real estate." And in New York, and he said everyone he knows in New York talks like Trump does because
100%.
that's what Trump is like. Most of his persona is New York. That is where he came from in his business, in his livelihood, and everything. That's just the way he grew up. So then the left went crazy because Trump is a loudmouth that will say what he wants. I'll give him credit. During that time, the Republicans really were a little afraid of being called bigots and stuff because they had no principles to stand on.
Right.
But it was Trump's a Nazi and everyone supports him as a Nazi. They can't give a reason. Then if you say you support legal immigration, but you just don't believe in illegal, you were called xenophobic. They just kept piling and piling and piling on. Then the trans shit, and then the men and women sports shit. It was everything. Oh, and Biden is as sharp as a tack. There's that one too. That's the classic one. Biden's as sharp as a tack. And behind the camera, guys, off camera, he's sharp as a tack. It's almost like saying Chris Christie is on camera, he's a total fucking fat ass, but behind and off camera, he is shredded.
He's an Adonis.
Like, he's an Adonis. Like, so again, they just added everything to their list that made them completely lose credibility. Even when the right has been deteriorating because of their support of Israel, the left is still at their bottom because they are just not learning. Maybe like 0.1% of the population is learning.
They're doubling down. That's the problem.
Yeah, they're doubling down. That's why even though the right's got lower and Trump's at his lowest point ever, the left is still
Nick,
down.
You got a real problem with culture. Like, you got extremes, and they're in these tribal camps.
And that's exactly what I'm about to say.
No one's gravitating towards truth and common sense in the middle. I thought, so did you, that the lesser of two evils was Trump because he talked about common sense. Now he's in office. His administration has kind of derailed on a couple different topics. Has he done some good things? Yeah, immigration's been fantastic.
And then RFK's been doing fairly well with the health stuff and
I love the
Tulsi getting some of the intelligence from
100%.
Like some foreign threats, like a little bit.
Good things happen.
But the fact is, again, this is why I say I will give the left credit for this. Do you know what made them bad? It was the list of bullshit that came with them in the last 6 years. That was what made them bad. You know what's making the right look so bad right now? It's because of two topics. Mm-hmm. Two topics. It's because of the Epstein scandal and because of their support, their completely biased support for Israel and saying, oh, it's justified what they're doing. There's nothing wrong. The classic Brandon Tatum line with the Dave Smith Brandon Tatum debate. Netanyahu has done nothing wrong and all that. It's like,
how could they say that?
I entered this political space to begin with. I made this clear in the first episode. If I didn't, then I'll make it more clear now. I entered politics not because all of a sudden I become some crazy conservative that took the red pill and said everything I've seen is a lie and whatever. No, everything I have seen is a lie, but it's because everything from all sides is a total load of horse shit. It's because one side decided it's okay if we do it, but it's not okay if they do it. You lose me when you pull that on me, okay? If it's not okay for them to do it, it ain't okay for Fletcher, for myself, or anyone to do it. So you lose me there. But then when you say, I fear China, this is the conservative, I fear China because of their influence on politics. Qatar, their influence on our institutions, which, by the way, I do agree with them.
I gotcha.
And
I'm
everything
with you.
like that. But and then like, oh my God, we need to protect our children. Like the children, they need to be the most protected. But then they're like, oh, I think we will agree with Trump in saying there's no Epstein client list. And but it's different with Israel because it's Israel. They're the Holy Land, and Christ is going to come back and revive bring back the chosen people. It's like, give me an effing break, okay? Do not pretend to me that you're going to criticize, and rightfully so, that the left fucked up when Biden fucked up with behind the Epstein scandal as well. He should have done something about it. Then they would have looked like the heroes.
1,000.
But no. So then Trump was going to look like the superhero and say, I'm going to give you the files. Oh no, there's no Epstein client list. They doubled down on that, and then they're saying, Israel is just a good guy.
You just told me Bondi actually came out and said that.
Yes, she did it a second time, like last week. I sent it to you. I sent a text to you about it saying, a few months ago, saying we are looking through the files now. Like
verbatim.
The Epstein.
That was her words.
Those were her
and
words.
What did she say last week?
There's nothing. There was never any client list. There was never any files.
You
just said you were looking through the files.
Exactly. How can you lie?
And it's like to think that I voted for this bullshit. I didn't vote for this. I voted.
Like language. They lie about everything. It just becomes a
no matter who you vote for, you get John McCain. And I'm sick and tired of these people telling me, well, no matter what, you're just going to have to vote because one side's going to win, one side's worse. Where it's like, dude, spare me the bullshit.
We need to have credibility.
It's like, no. Let me give you, I'm going to give you a number sample, okay? When you looked at the map of like the amount won in Pennsylvania, like Trump won X amount of votes, Harris won X amount of votes, Chase Oliver, Jill Stein, and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Dude, and I think Trump had like, the 50, I think he had like the 55, 57%, and then Harris obviously had a lower percentage. Imagine, guys, the 53% that voted for Trump and I'm going to just make this number. Clearly, Trump had a bigger number. It was like in the 50s. The 50 plus votes that he got and the 40 plus 1,000 or million votes that Harris got, like the millions of votes that they both got. Imagine if you guys just woke up and said, fuck you, Trump, and fuck you, Harris, and decided to pull that support back and say, you know what? I'm not going to vote. You know what? I'm going to put my vote towards a third party. I'm going to put my vote towards like just a simple write-in. Imagine what those numbers can do. But these people have been brainwashed into saying that, yes, everybody. Well, if I don't vote for the two, then I'm just going to get nothing, and then I don't get a right to complain. No, if you know what your side is standing for, and you know how much they failed, and you still choose to do it, you're responsible for the outcome of the country because you knew and you still chose it because you thought deep down there was nothing else you could do, when in reality, you could have stayed home or put your vote to something more of your principles and not a lesser two evils. Because when you vote for the lesser two evils, you still vote for evil.
Correct. I agree. There's got to be a third-party solution.
I'm just so angry about this.
I'm thinking about leading that revolution. I'm going to call it the Lucky Party, and my slogan is going to be, if you vote for me, you're going to get lucky.
It's just,
especially with the female constituents. So.
Of course you are. And I know
you're going to be the vice president, so you better get on board, because I'll be incarcerated within 6 months of taking office. So you better get ready.
Hey, by the way, I made this clear for his birthday dinner yesterday, by the way. You know what I told him? And I will fully support. I will move to Kentucky if this is what it takes. I'm just going to say this right now, Thomas Massey. If you run for president, I'll gladly be your vice president. I'm just going to say that right now.
How about just being a part of the group to get him elected? The more and more I hear from him, like I hear him talk or what I read about him, he is what you would want in a politician. Nobody's perfect, But I'll tell you what, that guy doesn't give a crap about it. He wants to do what's right.
He's been pushing for the Epstein files to be released. He has pushed bills to get it released. And because,
they're at a
government
logjam,
shutdown,
217 and 217.
It's just, and that's
they
the
have
story.
The one crucial vote. That's a story. We can do that in the next segment next week. But I mean, they have one crucial. They won't sign her into Congress because they know she's going to be number 218. She's going to sign Massey's bill.
Yep.
I forget the lady's name. But we'll get that for you next time we chit chat about that.
Yep.
But yeah,
so
it's just crazy. In summation, I just see, and it's disappointing because I'm not right, I'm not left. I'm a registered independent. I know you are a moderate, passionate.
I'm not going to say moderate. I'm
lean
just
conservative. But
yes.
I mean,
modern.
You're definitely not.
I'm just. I can't say.
And entirely out of the question for both of us as being in woke ideology, but I'm not.
I'm sorry, they are the woke right because
I'm
you
not
criticize
in the
Israel.
camp, and I thought maybe they would be a better poison, I guess you could say.
The MAGA camp is so incapable of criticizing Donald Trump, and it's you guys look no different than the Democrats who would refuse to criticize Biden.
Correct.
When after January 27, 2024, it was known to the public. I mean, people like you and I already knew Fletcher, but was known to the public that Biden was a demented fart that. Everyone had no choice but to say, yeah, he needs to go, guys. It's just like, they're all playing Monday morning quarterback and say, by the way, Jake Tapper and what's that dude from MSNBC all said 2 weeks before, oh, he's as sharp as a tack.
You know what's great? I want the audience to do this too. It's really, I was driving, I almost drove off the road, which is probably not a good habit. I shouldn't be watching YouTube videos, podcasts while I'm driving, but I drive a lot for my job, so it's the beauty of my gig.
Yeah.
I drive hours, 1,000 miles a week, so I get to peruse information. I watched the debate again between Trump and Biden. It's
the last one?
Yeah, the last one that did Biden in. And then they were like, dude, there's a problem. The Democrats went into full panic. I can't imagine. I was laughing so hard. I can't imagine being a staunch Democrat, which I do have friends, so do you, like that are on that side of the fence, that no matter what, they're just Democrat. Trump is a Nazi. Trump is evil. He's Hitler. He's Satan. I get it. I can't imagine being a Democrat and witnessing that live. Dude, it was a complete meltdown. He had two parts where he literally in front of millions and millions of people, and it's on record. I don't know how anybody, if I was a staunch Republican, I would just put that in a continual loop and just have that. I think it would help out the cause. But anyways, he just is, he's so incoherent. You literally don't know what he's talking about. And that's what Trump says, which is probably the funniest part of that debate when he goes...
Morgan was over that night at my place.
He goes, I don't think he knows what he's talking about.
I don't even think he knows what he's saying. But no, that night, Morgan and I... So when it comes to like some TV shows or some movies or... something like the debate, for example, we will like play cards, but we'll still like watch and stuff like that.
Have it on in the back.
And as Morgan, I'll never forget. I can't forget this moment. Obviously, it aired later in the evening and stuff, and it was airing. And when Biden was talking and Morgan was dealing the cards, we were playing rummy, not gin rummy, just regular rummy. And I literally asked, like, I'm looking like this. I'm like, I'm listening to him talk, and no, I'm serious, Fletcher. This is not funny. I literally asked Morgan, I'm like, is it just me or I can't understand what he's saying?
No, that's
and she's
true.
like, he sounds horrible. Like, we weren't like trying to criticize or anything.
No,
it's
but
like,
it's reality. You can't understand.
I was heartbroken in that moment, man.
So was I, because I mean, he had at that particular moment, he's still got 6, 7, 8 months left of
his term.
Yeah. And it's like, dude, that guy's in charge. There's no way he's able to do the job. He's not able to do anything. So all of that other stuff. I mean, we could be here all day. We'll
and again, I know these are
that.
longer than usual, but this is just
this is a great little segment. It flowed good.
This in particular, you can't talk about the world in 30 minutes or something. It's just this had to go on longer. Now we can obviously dial it down with like next week. Stay tuned for like conspiracy theories. We don't need to go 50 minutes about conspiracy theories. That. But when it comes to the state of the world, there are so many things that go into this that you can't explain it in 15 minutes. I took up 13 minutes of this damn segment.
It's a broad topic, so I mean that's why we ran a little bit extra. When we funnel next week in further episodes, future episodes, we'll funnel a little bit. We'll get closer to the 20-25 minutes. That's usually our wheelhouse. But when you're talking about
it's been a full 2 weeks since we left, so we're kind of making up for lost time.
You're
and all
talking
that
about
stuff,
a state of culture. You're talking about a statement of
people that we're involved in, people that we're friends with.
We have family members. If we ran 15 minutes long, it's okay. It's a pretty big, encompassing topic.
Honestly, if we really kept this going, we probably could have made this 2 hours.
You and I could talk literally like till midnight.
We would, what we would do? Yeah. We could last as long as the whatever podcast with their 8 hours. No, we couldn't do any Scott Horn, dude. Scott Horn, 10.5 hours on Lex Friedman.
Scott Horn is a legend. He's a 101.
And by the way, I just finished that a little bit ago.
He's a 101.
He is a master of knowledge.
Yeah, he's unbelievable to listen to. So, but we're going to end it on that because a shout out to Morgan. I have something brewing where I'm going to have to get off camera and visit the bathroom. So,
alrighty then. So we're going to end on this.
That's going to be called our Jim Carrey ending. But we'll see you guys next time for the next segment.
And hopefully
it'll be episode 14. Morgan will most likely be here.
Stay tuned for conspiracy
teaser. It's going to be conspiracy theories. I'm going to talk about Bigfoot. It's going to be super interesting.
And I'm also going to talk about how space is not real. So see you in the next episode, guys. And we will see you later.
About dropping a bomb. All right, you can cut it out.